Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio. Today we're going to be working on this owl. The reference photo is by Jill Merritt from Free Reference Photos for Artists on Facebook. So let's get started. So I'm blocking in the eye the pupils just with a black from Carbothello to start off with. Then moving on with a yellow. Now I've got out all three different yellows from the Carbothello range, and I'm starting off, I'm just blocking it in, but I am going sort of around in the curved direction that the eyeball is going in, and I'll be using lots of movements in this curved way to create the spherical look of the eyeball. So I'm going over the top as well. Even though there is a big area of shadow up there, there is some yellow showing through it, so I am blocking in up there as well. I'm now coming in with it's like a beigey taupe colour, and that I'm just doing the areas of shadow that I can see. Just going in lightly at first. I'm now coming in with a brighter yellow just to hype up that saturation a little bit, around the outside of the iris, I suppose it would be called. And again, now blocking in an area, a more shadowed area that I can see. Now I've noticed that above where I put that yellow layer, that the shadow is even darker, so I'm coming in with that darker grey. And again, now glazing over another layer of yellow over that, because I do want the yellow to come through when I blend it all out. Closer to the pupil, it gets lighter, so I'm coming in with the soft white from Faber-Castell, the Pit Pastel range. And now I'm coming in with the black and just adding a little bit more detail where I can see that there's black sort of encroaching into the area of highlight. Now using a blending stump to blend all this out, and doing it in the curved direction, just to keep building up that illusion of the eyeball being a spherical shape. Coming in with the black again and just outlining where there's not a complete ring around the eye, but I am just blocking in the black that is around the eyeball. Taking my time with my strokes just to get that all blocked in, where I see it. I'm coming in again with the dark grey. This is one of the darker greys from the Carbothellos, and blocking in that shadowed area. I'm being quite sort of precise this time around with my details. So you can see in that left hand corner of the eyeball, I'm sort of like making little tiny marks and dashes where there is shadow down that side, and building up another layer around that right hand side, just trying to refine my details a little bit more than what I did in the first pass before I blended it all out. So just like little dashes and little tiny marks. I mean, this is really quite sped up, so you can't really see, but I'm really checking my reference photo, adding a few dashes, and then I check the reference photo again and add a few more. Just glazing a little tiny bit of black into that shadowed area now, and then just adding a bit more saturation to the yellow. Obviously this is an owl. It has got sort of a bit of a waterline around, a sort of a bit how a human would have at the bottom of the eyelid, and that is actually quite surprisingly detailed. So I'm starting off with this mid-range grey tone, to start with, and then adding a bit more black where I see it there, and then I'm coming along and just adding little dashes, because it's sort of quite textured, and adding the areas of shadow there. I'm now coming in with a soft white. It's not a titanium white, this is a Faber-Castell one, and I use that when I want white but I don't want my brightest highlights, so I just added a few dashes of white there, and now just adding some suggestion of the feathers around the face, because I don't feel like an eye ever really looks quite real when it's an abstract shape on its own. It looks like it's sort of been put there. For the little feathers, tiny little feathers under the eye, I'm coming in to start off with the really lightest grey that you can get. I want to work up to my whites. I don't want to plonk them in straight away. So really paying attention to all the different directions around this owl's face. There are feathers going in so many different directions, so I'm just paying attention to what direction they're going in and the length, just so I haven't got, although pastels are really forgiving and you can go over them if you make a mistake, I don't want to have to do that if I don't really have to. Now increasing some with a dark grey where I can see some quite shadowed areas, and starting to build those up a little bit now. And now in with that soft white again, just you know, where I see things are a little bit lighter than I maybe initially realised in the first pass. There is actually lots of black and shadowed areas in these feathers, these sort of quite spiny feathers that are coming down in the direction of the nose. So I will be doing several layers of light and dark to really build up that depth. And again, like I mentioned before, that sort of waterliney bit, I just added some more texture in there with that darker grey. Now coming in with the light grey and adding some more highlighted areas in there, some of the lighter greys. And really paying attention to what direction they're going into. And this is like a beigey taupe colour, which I'll be using a lot within this piece to tie things together. And quite often I'm not, when I'm coming in with the darker pencils, I'm not necessarily doing fur in that colour. I'm going sort of in between the feathers and creating the shadow. So I'm not necessarily putting in complete black or complete dark grey strokes. I'm just adding shadow in between. Now coming in with a few more little white highlights where I see them for a bit more detail. And the same with the black where I see some more shadow. And I've noticed that there's quite a big shadowed bit above that white, above the eye. So I'm coming in with the grey and the black just to get that blocked in. And then layer in some more white. And this is a cream, this one. I'm just wanting to make sure, you know, just in this first instance, I will be coming back through these eyes once at the very end of the piece, but I just want to make sure that I've got the bulk of the highlight and the shadow and everything roughly where it needs to be. So moving on to the second eye, I will use exactly the same sort of methodical process that I did before, using the different yellows to start off with. And again in that curved motion, so when I blend them out they'll really look quite spherical. And there's a much lighter piece in that sort of 4 to 5 o'clock area on that round piece. So just coming in with the white and now the cream to lighten that up. And now defining the pupil a little bit more than what it was before. I'm working in some areas of shadow there. And now the main highlights. And you can see how easy it is with the white pastel pencil to go over to the top of what I've done before and just work them areas in. And using more than one shade of yellow will really help to give sort of a lot more depth to the piece and make it look less flat than if you just used one yellow. In that shadowed area above the top there, it isn't a flat black, it's sort of like a warm black, so I have worked in a little bit of brown there. And although I will be glazing over the top of that with the black, I just wanted there to be the suggestion of the brown showing through from underneath. I'm just working a bit more cream in and some more areas of shadow as and when I see them. And you know, throughout all of my drawings, I probably look at the reference photo more than I actually look at the drawing. I'm constantly like glancing over to my right to check it, and you know, between pencil strokes, check that I've got the right place, everything in the right place. Now just working the outer edge of the eye with the light grey, getting that blocked in the first instance without any other detail, just blocking in where I see it. So using the dark grey, just I can see that there's quite a big area of shadow above the eye there, so I'm just working in some of that light grey initially, just you know, at this blocking in stage, and now coming over that with a different grey, and now the black. And the light grey. And throughout this piece I'll be using lots of different greys and beiges and browns. So this is more of a mid-tone grey, and the reason why I'm sort of, it looks like I'm doing a sort of a bit of a scribbly motion there, but that particular piece doesn't have very much detail, and one of the biggest mistakes you can make is putting detail in for the sake of it. If you have an area where there isn't much detail and it looks just like a blocked in piece of colour, then just block in a piece of colour. Don't put detail in for the sake of putting detail in. So I'm coming in with that soft white and doing a few details in that waterline. So that's it for the first part. We're going to be moving on to the beak next. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next part. Thank you for watching.